Hey loves, welcome back to TigeraGitana. Oh, I love peppermint tea. We are going to be, this is a patron voted video. They voted for divination video this week, so that is what we're going to cover. And because this is going to be a divination video, it's going to be a little bit of a random divination video because I presume some of you guys would expect me to talk about something a little bit more mainstream, I guess. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to be talking about magic mushrooms and the effects on the third eye, or how I like to call them, shrooms, because it's just a cuter word. And the effects on the third eye. So get your teacups so we can have a very cute conversation. If you see me looking this way, it's because I have my notes on my computer over here. So first and foremost, sharing my experience with magic mushrooms or shrooms. I am not without, especially because I do a lot of things for different reasons. Specifically when it comes to connecting with earth energy, I am an earth sign, so I work very well with anything plant-based when it comes to food, when it comes to nature medicine, and such. I just work really well with it. I also work really well when it comes to my upper chakras, as it is kind of designed within my astrology chart, because I do have my Venus in Aquarius, my moon is in Gemini, so I do have an airiness about me, even though I'm very earth. So I work very well with both elements in that way. So I very much lean into it. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because you should note that when it comes to like working with your third eye energy, you do want to pay attention to your natal chart as well, because your natal chart will tell you how you're going to take in information when you're taking in substances, how you're relating, what access you can be given, if you can access certain parts without having to take substances, etc. Aquarius rules really the access to the higher realms. Gemini, ruled by Mercury, is really about communication and messages, and you can receive a lot of messages from substances, obviously. And being a mutable sign, they're very lean towards it. And because I am a Capricorn, I have a Capricorn stellium, it does help me to kind of reground, but also connect a lot to those earthly substances as well. So there is something to be said about, like, if you're trying to tailor a situation or tailor your connection to something that you're doing, whether it be weed or, you know, something else, you should look at your chart to see how your body can take it, how your spirit's going to take it, how you're consciously, how you're going to take it, how you're going to be able to interpret the messages you receive, if there's a better way that you can position yourself to do so as well. Pisces, because they rule substances, they rule the subconscious mind, and that's like that gray area where you can really access many things. You want to look at those placements, those Neptune placements, those Pisces placements, and see, what's going on there, which house it's in, how it's going to be in development for you, how it's going to help you, and whether or not you're going to be abusing substances too, because Pisces placements, especially 12th house placements, they can show how you integrate when it comes to substances, any substances, even alcohol, whether you just abuse it for the feeling or whether you use it for different purposes and such. So I would recommend, before you're just, trying to do something where you're experimenting with substances or ancient medicine, which is what I see it as, because that's what it is, you want to make sure that you're just looking at your natal chart. This is just your friendly reminder to check your natal chart, because it can help you prepare for the experience. And it's something that you just want to be aware of. You want to be sure of yourself when you're going in there. So with that being said, with that little brief intro, I'm going to tell you about my experience with shrooms, which was fun. First and foremost, I was promised dragons. But it did not, it did not come to pass. Like, as far as like it happening without me just going into meditation, I did not physically see walls moving while my eyes were open, while I was high, basically, with shrooms. However, I know there's a lot of people that experience different things. I think physically as in my body, is very, very grounded. So it did take a minute for it to like hit my body. And while I was feeling very, very loose, a little loose, I was still very not, you know, seeing stuff. And if you're an earth sign, you have a tougher kind of, I guess I always feel like even when it comes to drinking alcohol, I always know when to stop. I always know where my limit is, how far I'm taking my body. Like, I'm very much connected to my body when it comes to substances. I don't know if other earth signs go through that same thing, but this is something that I experience all the time. I'm very, very aware of how much the limits to my physical body and how far I can take it before I know I'm gonna end up waking up and throwing up and doing all these things that I do not want to experience. So I knew that there was a point, like I was doing it, first of all, I was doing it with my roommate and my wife, who is a Gemini, and mutable signs, Geminis, Pisces, Sagittarius, like, listen, I'm gonna tell you guys, listen, they love being in that state. It's just fun for them. I feel like Virgos would love it too, but then it's just like they're still earth signs, so to an extent they'll still be grounded, but there is a definitely like just love of them just being in this just loose stage, like, because again, it's like that subconscious, like that gray area where you're just, it's an experience for them. She was definitely just like vibing and in her own world. Mind you, she does have a Capricorn moon, so she still was to an extent grounded, but she was very air-like. And while I was like very, very loose, I knew that I had to meditate because I wanted to experience all of the levels that I knew that I was going to experience. I was doing it at first just to kind of, you know, we were just chilling and okay, let's try shrooms. But I knew that there was gonna be that part of me that is like, we're gonna go back into the room, we're gonna meditate, we're gonna connect that way, because that's just how I am. So my intent was to be very loose with it and just be open about it and just seeing how I was feeling with it, seeing how my body was reacting to it and everything. I just like go through the kind of motions of things. And then when it came to time, I just was like, all right, I'm gonna go into the room, close the door, and I first and foremost knew that I wanted to go in with an intention, because, you know, when you're doing something, when you're going into that subconscious place, you want to consciously still set an intention for what it is that you want to do. So what I did was that I asked Elegua to help me navigate through my third eye journey with shrooms within my system. So I put some Elegua music in the background and I closed my eyes, and I immediately was, you know, just sent flying up through lots of sacred geometry. There's actually a lot of messages and a lot of significant just downloads that you get from even the sacred geometry, even the repeating cycles that happen. Because what was happening with me specifically, and I'm pretty sure that it happens, like, there's a reason why people make these like psychedelic videos where they just keep kind of looping stuff over and over again, because it was like kind of, I can see why people are like, oh, this is the experience, this is what it feels like or whatever. There was very much a repeating patterns and repeating scenes that would interchange into something else, but each one was a different vision that I was getting. I was getting messages for different people, including one of my roommates. I got a message from him. I saw him. There was a pattern of him crying in this girl's hair, and it was just like he was just like, her head was here and he was like holding her hair just with his face just like crying on it, and it was just repeating all over the place. And I realized that that was a message that I had to share with him, so I did afterwards. Then I was asking, this is when, you know, my Gemini moon starts getting a little curious, because, you know, having Gemini placements, mutable placements, really, specifically Gemini placements, and I want to say Sag placements too, you immediately have a purpose. You're like, what do I want to know? What can I know? Where can I go with this? What else do I, you know, what can be explored? Show me the map. I want to just, what are my options? You know, like, I was just kind of having a field day a little bit, which was fun because it was fun to explore different things, and I was shown many things. I was shown different gods too. Definitely saw a lot of ancient wisdom and medicine. Especially, I wasn't surprised because I know that shrooms are very indigenous in nature as far as like a substance that was used, and it's definitely very much connected to the gods. I saw a lot of that. There was a lot of patterns. I saw myself pregnant again. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that last year, which I believe I told you guys in my Mexico vlog, my second Mexico vlog, that Yamaya wants me to have a child, which I already know as of that last vision that it was a girl that I'm supposed to be having. But I saw myself pregnant again, which was very interesting. And that was literally, I got a bunch of messages, but that was the one that was mainly directed towards me and what's coming up for me. And I feel like that's just gonna be a big highlight of my life and what's coming up. I mean, motherhood itself, it's, you know, it's a huge thing. It's mama magic, so it is a lot. So I am definitely excited to explore that within the upcoming years that come. But that was the message that I got for me. I got messages for my wife always, and things that are kind of coming up in the future. Also ways that I need to maintain balance as well. That came up a lot while I was asking and exploring with the gods. That's actually something that came up a lot. There's a lot of color magic within when you're taking shrooms, and I did notice that the patterns were changing with the music. So remember when I told you I was playing a song with the Legua? When the drums would change or when the beat would slightly change or something, the colors would change as well. So there was a lot of color magic as with there was a lot of color magic, and there was a lot of sacred geometry. There was a lot of ancient medicine and divination, as well as being able to kind of see different parts of the future in a very unique way, because when you see it as a repeating cycle, it looks a little bit like it's not in the same way that I've used my third eye before, like where I've seen myself as clear as day as is like a vision or a movie playing in the background. This was more of, this is something that's just it wrapped in a design that is just kind of crafted in, and it's part of my algorithm, if that makes any sense. It's a very different take in how I've used my third eye before. So I thought that was really beautiful and unique. But it also, it highlights a lot of things, because you can take a lot of things from it as far as like the patterns, why certain patterns were chosen, what past lives they're connected to. There's just like so many questions that I could just like dive into, and that I was diving into, because my curiosity is just like, you know, out of this world. But I definitely wanted to take those moments to connect, and see what they wanted me to know, what spirit wanted me to know. There definitely was a lot of chakra healing in there. There was a lot of color balance, and why the need for balance keeps you, and like the need for balance and maintaining that balance within the color healing and energy and your energy, how that keeps you not only sane, but it keeps you healthy physically. There was also a lot of plant medicine information that I received while I was there. One of the things that I kind of did was that while I was high, I also made myself some tea, and the way the plants tasted was different. I specifically made myself a mixture. I combined different teas in there, and I specifically wanted to see how it would react, how my body would react to it while I was in that state, because again, I'm curious as hell. So I kind of made myself tea, I drank it, and I can taste the effects, like what the healing, what those plants specifically heal together in combination, in unity. Like I picked it out of almost like a random thing, and then just like what I was gravitating towards at the time, and then while I was drinking it together, it was just like the message of, this is what we're healing together, this is what we're addressing as a unit. When you combine us like this is what we heal. So it was actually a very beautiful experience, and it was a lot of fun, honestly. That's kind of one of my I think honestly it was just a really good experience. It just took a minute for it to like kick in. I was just waiting for like a good, I don't know, it was like an hour and a half, and then I started feeling really loose, and I'm like, oh, I'm a little loose. And then my girlfriend started laughing at me, which is really funny. But for the most part, it definitely does open up your third eye, if you allow it to happen, because you could just have the experience with it. If you are not necessarily earth sign heavy, it might affect you differently, where you're actually having these like experiences when you're looking at like the wall. I know people like seeing like the walls like breathe in, and like different things happening, and like the whole dragon thing that I was promised that I only saw when I actually meditated, which was kind of cool. So it's definitely something that I feel like if you're going to try, and this goes for other forms of indigenous medicines, that if you're going to try, I do recommend you look at your chart, and that you know yourself to some capacity very well, so you know not only what you want to, what you're seeking within those spaces, but so you kind of can play around with those spaces proactively. Like you're not just like, oh, I'm high. Like you're just actively like, hey, like I want to know this, I want to explore this. I also called down the angels while I was there. I specifically Archangel Michael, which is interesting because he looks very different when you're calling him within this format. He looks so different, and it was just like a very interesting experience to see different aspects of the divine. I also saw the reasoning why the colors were coming in, because there was also a play between light and dark, and almost like in a yin and yang kind of way, and seeing how the music will impact what the light was pushing away with the darkness, is how it all became in a balance, and how the colors would creep into it. It was just like there was a lot of knowledge in there. It just kind of sewed into the whole thing. It was really beautiful. I'm really glad that I had that experience. It was just really a beautiful experience. I would definitely do it again. I would love to do it again. I did feel like once I like came out of my meditation, I was still pretty much there still, and I had this whole entire conversation where I was just like the wise old woman, and I just kept saying all of these things, and I'm just like, I'm listening to myself say it, and I'm very sure of what I'm saying, but at the same time I'm like, whoa, okay, I got why that was, and that makes total sense. It was a very much like a moment of like I felt like Gandalf. It's like the best way I could put it. But it was a very beautiful moment in understanding the messages and being able to give it, because that's one of the other things. If you're ever in a room with me where I'm getting high, or I'm even having a drink or something, and I get a little loose, and I'm just like talking, I easily go into the like Gemini moon messenger situation, and I'm just like reading people at that point, and it just gets really interesting. But it was definitely a beautiful experience. I can see why people have bad trips though, because again, some people don't know how to navigate within their own bodies, and you know, that's why I started this whole entire video by stating that you should look into your natal chart. That's really important. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys, especially when it comes to third eye activation, or really understanding and working with your third eye in a different way. It is, I would say, kind of an advanced way to work with your third eye, just because when you're starting to incorporate substances and things that trigger your third eye to access different parts of like not only collective consciousness but divine consciousness in that way, it can seem like it can be a little bit overwhelming. So I could see why some people have bad trips, but it's all about understanding your body, knowing why you're doing it, what the intention is, because some people just do it for fun, and what it is that you want to know. At the end of the day, in order for you to get access to information, you do have to want to even know what the information is. You want to have to like get that level of access. A lot of the things are not accessible to people when it comes to that consciousness up there, because some people, one, are not ready, and two, don't seek to know. So it is about, you know, being consciously going into those, you know, spaces up there, and then just saying, hey, I'm curious about this, talk to me about this, I want to know, I want to be shown what this means, what's coming up for me, whatever, what messages I need to know. I'd be doing the most, 100,000% I'd be doing the most up there, but it's just about being curious. It's nothing, curiosity is not a bad thing at all. But yeah, I hope that you guys found this video informative. Definitely as a divination video, I feel like being under having substances inside of you while you're just like trying to, like, I'm not saying go, you know, get high and start doing readings. It's something that I do randomly when it happens. However, it is a way to divine. There is a lot of messages that you can get from different tools. Your tools are not always going to look like a pendulum and a tarot deck. It can be a little bit different. And there's a lot of ways to divine that are not man-made, created. I would say woman-made, to be honest, because we all know Rider-Waite was designed by a woman. So I'm just going to give her all the credit for that one. Even though it was stolen from Kemetic wisdom, but we're not going to talk about that today. But anyway, yeah, there's definitely nothing wrong with kind of dabbling in other things, I would say. That's like the best way I could put it. But I did want to share the story with you guys, just so you guys, if you've ever been curious about it, you kind of have some information about it, and just to share my experience with you guys about it as well, because I feel like I definitely have really crazy experiences that, you know, I feel like anybody else would have been kind of scared to do all of that, but I'm always down for something weird to happen. Like, I'm just so curious and just open to that kind of thing. So yeah, I definitely wanted to share that with you guys. Anyway, thank you for watching. I just want to take a moment to thank all the new subscribers that I've been getting during this pandemic, as everybody's like at home watching just YouTubing stuff. So thank you for following me. I'm very happy to share space with you guys. I have a couple of announcements as well. But yeah, I just did want to take a moment to thank everybody. We've been growing really fast, and I'm just really excited to continue to grow. But time for an announcement. On Monday, we are going to be doing the monthly whatchamacallit, I always forget what to call it. I named it and I forgot what to call it. The monthly healing circle, that's what I meant. So we're going to be doing the monthly healing circle, I believe at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing the live for this month, which I'm really excited about. I'm about to post up the poll so the patrons can vote on the next monthly community spell, which I'm excited about as well. We just did the spell for the welcoming the new ancestors. That's the one that they voted for this month, which was very appropriate because there's been a lot of ancestors who have new ancestors that have become ancestors because of the situations that are happening right now. So that spell was just really beautiful, and it was just like a really beautiful moment. I'm glad that that's what they voted on. It was really appropriate. It was like divine timing. So yeah, so that was great, and that's what's coming up on Monday. And there's still new videos that are gonna get posted, so just stay tuned for that. I am working on a vlog that I'm going to be doing for you guys, and I think that was it for now. But definitely I'll put anything on the community tab on the YouTube, so just stay tuned for that. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.